which Google has copied and stored. Google is already the subject of an EU investigation prompted by a Microsoft-owned company and says it welcomes the scrutiny. Google dominates the search world and controls more than 90% of the internet search ad market in Europe. Microsoft created its search engine Bing less than 2 years ago in hopes of getting a piece of the global pie.
Financial services companies are struggling to deal with increasingly sophisticated online crime and fraud. Managing risk and cost is, of course, critical. Nigel Freitas asked TrustDefender CEO Ted Egan about some of the possible solutions.
Increasingly, we're seeing advanced persistent threats. We're seeing sophisticated Trojans that are targeting all sorts of devices, but targeting the endpoint user or the consumer at home. Or even in the corporate environment, they're targeting the person. With the advent of cloud computing and people using their own personal computers to transact both within the business and at home, we're seeing more and more targeted attacks on those devices and the people themselves, whether you be the CEO or the receptionist at the front desk.
Has software and hardware development kept pace with these threats?
In many cases, the bad guys are developing sophisticated research and development capabilities, and they don't have the restrictions that we have to keep within certain parameters. And what we're seeing is the bad guys are very quick to build or incorporate capabilities within their software to bypass existing technologies. But as soon as we roll these security solutions out, the bad guys are already one step ahead. They've done the R&D, they've done their research, and they're looking at the weaknesses within those technologies and how to bypass it.
Is it enough for users today just to download antivirus software to protect themselves online?
I think the days have gone where you rely on any one solution only to protect you from the bad guys. What we are seeing is with the sophistication of the bad guys, you need to do more than from a best practice point of view. You need to have a firewall, you need to have your antivirus solution running or suite running, and you need to have it updated on a regular basis. If you're running a Windows machine, you definitely need to have the latest updates. And the same with the Mac OS environment, you need to update that on a regular basis. What we are advising is that the bad guys are become more insidious in such an effect that we need to have that extra layer in addition to an outer band or a second factor authentication, because authentication and security are two different things. And by adding that extra layer provided by TrustDefender, you're able to provide much stronger layered security approach, and from an enterprise point of view, you're providing an integrated security and fraud risk management approach, which is much more effective.
Now, TrustDefender promises to reduce the cost of online fraud, but not reduce online fraud. What's the difference?
Well, a lot of the organisations that we speak to, whether they be in the banking space or they are a retailer, they talk about the actual cost of fraud being not that high. And you know, if that cost is not high, where is the cost? The cost is actually relating to marketing, collection agencies, other processes that are within the organisation at an enterprise or a business level. It may be even related to manual checking or non-automated solutions that they put in place. And we've seen that internationally, where some countries have said they've had a drop in online fraud. However, the cost of stopping that fraud has increased dramatically. So the fraud has gone down, but the cost has gone up because non-automated means have actually been put in place. And what we're delivering today is a way of reducing that cost, not just the fraud cost, but also the cost that they spend on trying to stop the fraud in the first place.
Tell us more about TrustDefender Zero.
TrustDefender Zero incorporates two key capabilities that for the first time ever are now integrated and make give the ability for an enterprise or an online business to know the level of security or fight against key attacks such as man-in-the-middle, man-in-the-browser type attacks, which are becoming more insidious around the world today. And to look at mobile phones, so with the growth of mobile banking, mobile transactions, TrustDefender Zero gives the capability to be able to know the security health, know if that device is potentially being compromised or the browser is being compromised, and to secure that transaction in real time. The final part of TrustDefender Zero is it combines both page fingerprinting and device fingerprinting in real time. And this, by combining this information, you give much more defined and definite capabilities for every transaction from a security health point of view.
Well, tablets are this year's hottest gadget, overshadowing smartphones and ultralight laptops. IDC predicts 50 million tablet devices could ship in 2011. The iPad's huge dominance, around 20 million sold already, has seen other manufacturers scrambling to try and compete. Australian Business Traveller editor David Flynn joins us now in the studio to look at some of the front-running devices. David, good morning to you and thank you. First things first, I feel like every year I say this year tablets are the hot thing going on.